Hey there, Grumpy Old Fart here. I had players, some players years ago asked me some questions, and then very recently somebody asked me a question, and it piqued my interest. So I figured I'd do this video and kind of answer those questions. And you know, there was a list of questions, and I tried to get them all on here, information that would answer those. So this advice, excuse me, is for players new to the game. It's a given in Dungeons and Dragons at some point you're going to have to camp outside. Okay? You're getting from your hometown to wherever the adventure is. You have to travel from point A to point B. Yeah, you're going to have to camp somewhere. When you camp, there are certain protocols that most D&D players abide by. And I'm gonna give you a short list here. And there's more. I'm just trying to give you the basics. But during this time, a lot of stuff can be accomplished at night. For example, training. If you want to learn a new language, if you want to maintain your armor, maintain your weapons, study, you know, that kind of thing. It is a given that at some point you're going to have to stop for the night. You're going to need to organize your sleep arrangements. If an inn is not available, it's always better to stay at an inn and pay for the room, even if it's, you know, we're gonna pay a copper piece and all of us sleep in one storeroom in the back, something, anything. It's always better to do that than it is to sleep outside. However, ideally, finding a natural shelter, like if the inn is not available, finding a natural shelter like an inn, like a cave or an overhang or old ruins. Abandoned ruins, make sure they're abandoned. You don't want that's preferable. But if not, you can buy tents. You can make a lean-to. Some kind of a shelter is always good. Especially if the weather looks like it's going to turn. In the summertime, it's not that bad, but you know, unless you're in an area prevalent with mosquitoes, then a tent is a good thing because you can close it off and keep them out. Regardless, some sort of a guard shift must be worked out. And the reason is DMs love, and I speak from experience, dungeon masters love to have monsters attack player characters at night. Dungeon masters are sadists like that. I know, because I am one. There are reasons for this. First off, player characters are asleep, which means they have no armor on, and they are virtually completely vulnerable. Spellcasters need their sleep to memorize or pray or meditate for spells. If they don't get it, they are less effective the next day. If the PCs can be forced to flee, they will leave behind essential gear. I talked about this in a video called Forgetful Much. You know, what happened to all my gear? Well, you retreated from your camp and left it there. I didn't see nobody said nothing about packing up my stuff, you know, that kind of thing. Spellcasters should be the priority to get sleep, especially clerics. You can do it out of wizard. A cleric is your healer. Druids as well. They're your healers. You got to have those. Therefore, fighter types and thieves are the primary people to stand watch. If you don't have the numbers to do this, if there's not enough people to have somebody stand watch and get at least, for the non-spellcasters to get at least 6 or 7 hours, a spellcaster can stand watch, but you want to have them at the very beginning or at the very end. And make sure they get at least their 8 hours. And I did, I believe it was one of the Rules I Ignore videos where I outlined how much sleep spellcasters have to get in order to cast higher level spells. In my games, you get 8 hours and then spend 15 minutes on memorizing spells. It makes everything easier. And I do that for a reason. Go watch that video. Those Rules I Ignore, I believe there's 3 of them. Go check those out. It was in one of those. If you don't have the numbers, fighters and thieves, enough to allow the spellcasters to sleep straight through, put the spellcasters at the beginning of the shift or at the end of the shift and make sure they're allowed to get their 8 hours. The spellcasters have to have the sleep, and without the clerics, you have no healing. Wizards are important as well, but the clerics, in my opinion, clerics and druids are more important. They have to get their sleep. Any character wanting a decent night's sleep will want to remove their armor. This is something players, oh my god, they ignore. Sleeping in clothing is not comfortable. Anybody who's had to sleep in their suit, in a business suit, or in their BDUs, in their fatigues, yeah, that's not comfortable. Imagine if that clothing was made of plate metal, scale mail, ring mail, or even boiled leather, because that's what leather armor is. They boil the leather and make it rigid. Sleeping in that is ridiculous. You're not going to get any sleep, and oh my god, it sucks. Padded armor might work, maybe hide armor, but it's still going to be uncomfortable as hell. And by the way, also make a note, let your players know that when this is for the dungeon masters, make sure everybody is aware that when they're not wearing their armor class is going to change. Okay, everybody's armor class starts at 10. You subtract the dexterity adjustment, and butt naked, that's your armor class. The armor makes it better. Without the armor, it's stuck there. Okay, same thing when you're asleep. Adverse weather can also affect your characters overnight. Camping time is a good time to maintain your armor, especially in an area where it rains a lot. Oil your weapons. Oil your armor. If you're trying to sleep in a rainstorm and you don't have shelter, that's not going to happen. Okay? Nobody can sleep in a rainstorm without shelter. Nobody can sleep in a blizzard without shelter. Cold fronts, etc., they can prevent you from getting your proper sleep, and without proper sleep, your character will not be as effective. Anytime you can, find shelter, because it's much better. If you can't find shelter, make shelter. It's not difficult to put up a lean-to. It takes about an hour. When the Roman Legion would camp for the night, they would make a fortification with ditches and spikes and the whole 9 yards. It was crazy. And they did this every day that they traveled. And so, their sleeping area was fortified. They had posted guards the whole 9 yards. But that was an entire Roman Legion. Most player characters won't be able to do that. There is a book out there, and I've talked about it before. It's an AD&D book, Advanced Dungeons and Dragons book, called The Wilderness Survival Guide. You really, really need to get that book if you don't have it. It is invaluable for helping you to navigate the frontier of any world that you find yourself in. If your characters have horses, make sure you have somebody who can take care of them. Some character classes automatically know how to take care of horses. Cavaliers, paladins, people who deal with horseback combat a lot. I allow druids to have the same kind of knowledge of horses because they're druids. They deal with nature. That being said, use common sense. That's your primary thing. And most dungeon masters are pretty lenient when it comes to this kind of thing. You're expected to take your armor off. The problem is, for that aspect of it, the problem is most players forget that they don't have their armor on when they're woke up in the middle of the night with a monster attacking. The wolves are coming. Grab your, they jump up and my armor class is 3. Really? Your dexterity bonus is +7. Really? So just keep that in mind. And there are general protocols a group will get into when they're traveling once the group learns to work together and it works out well. But just keep in mind the basics are important. All right. You folks have a good day. God bless one and all.